Alright, so I'm out here in the garage today working on the F250, just tidying up a few little issues that I have with the truck. One of them was when I bought the truck, had a brand new engine in it, and the last engine that was in the truck had about 170,000 miles on it, and this is a fleet truck and had a cooling issue. Long story short, coolant got into the engine and the person kept driving it like that even though it was burning coolant. It was very obvious, so it ended up cracking the block. So a new engine, I have a 2015 or very low mileage engine I should say, was installed in the truck, but in the process of the previous owner driving it like that, ruined the catalytic converters in the process. Didn't completely destroy them, they're not plugged up, but they're not working like they should because of it. Getting a P0430 code, which is the driver's side catalytic converter, it's not as efficient as it should. And occasionally you'll see a P0420, which is the passenger side converter, not functioning like it should. And after so many drive cycles it will turn on the check engine light, and the only way to fix this is by replacing the converters. Alright, so I've got Magnaflow part number 52297 here in the box. It's a completely stainless system. It's a factory replacement. The OEM catalytic converters for the truck would be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 depending on where you buy them. So that's not going to happen. So I've heard stories of people just trying to replace the converters and it's still not fixing it because you didn't use an OEM grade converter. So I figured the next best thing to the OEM Ford ones would be Magnaflow. It's obviously a reputable name, so we're going to give them a shot, see how hard of a project it is to get the old ones off and the new ones on. Right, here we are under the truck. This is the connection right here before the first resonator, where the OEM one bolts together. So this could be a little tricky. There's a, if I can get it in the shot here, there's a bolt-on connection right here that I'm going to try to loosen, a slip fit, and then above that, right up here, is a gasketed or bolt together connection for the other side. Then both of them run this way. They go up here towards the engine where they're bolted to the manifold. So I'm going to go ahead and spray everything with PB Blaster, get it soaking here. I'll try to start getting this old one undone. First step, I'm going to unplug the oxygen sensors. You have one on the top of each converter, and then there's one right up here towards the engine on both sides. Alright, so now that I've got the wiring unplugged, just unclip your 402 sensors from the harness. The tricky part is not going to be up here at the engine. This will be relatively easy to get these engine bolts out, or it connects to the manifold, especially since they haven't been on here long, since it's got that new engine. But back here, where this slip fitting is, I have a feeling this is going to be a real pain. I mean, just get into the bolts. They're up here on top of the frame rail. I got to get to the two bolts in the lower middle screen, and then each side of this pipe here. This is going to be a little tricky. But I figure once I get this down or unbolted, I can pull it down away from the engine and try to yank the whole thing forward towards the front of the truck to get it unloose. Alright, I got everything loosened up. It should just kind of fall out. Definitely be easier to get out if you jack up your truck a little bit, but it's out. Alright, so I've got the old one out. These bolts up here were like a 15mm, and then I needed a 9/16 for the slip fit connection that was held on there, and I think those were 15s also, I believe. So now I'm going to transfer all the oxygen sensors from the old pipe over here to the new. system. And it's nice, it comes in a couple pieces. They give you what you need, your gasket connection. So this should go in a little easier than the old one came out. These forward sensors on here, they're actually wideband O2 sensors, and they're really expensive. So unless there's something wrong with them, you can just transfer them over. The rear ones are more the traditional O2 sensors. They're not as expensive. If you want to replace them, you can go ahead and do that. Now would probably be the time. Alright, I've got the wideband front O2 sensors transferred over. I'm going to go ahead and replace the rear O2 sensors. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get everything test fit under the vehicle here. Alright, it's up in here. I had to fight with it quite a bit. We ended up taking the transmission crossmember off to try to give it a little more room to get the pipes lined up, but I don't know if that's necessarily necessary. But what you do have to do is loosen up the exhaust system hanger brackets, which are the front sets right here. There's another set back there, because you need to move the whole factory exhaust back just a little bit in order to get the pipe on the passenger side to get it to go in up here. And it's hard to explain, but you'll see if you have to do this job. Here's what it looks like. It bolts together right there, runs over. It is a little different than the factory routing, just a hair, and I actually think that Ford did it better than Magnaflow here, but it works. So I just picked up a couple of new oxygen sensors. These are the rare ones, Bosch 15717s, and Motorcraft ones are obviously the original, but these are the exact same thing. In fact, Bosch made the Motorcraft ones that were in there. So let me get them installed and we'll get it started up here and see where we're at. Alright, so I've got the new Catalytic pipe installed, taking the truck for a drive, and I have a permanent DTC in the computer for the P0430, and the only way to get rid of a permanent DTC, you can't clear it with a scan tool. You have to allow the computer to clear itself, and there's a couple ways you can do that. The way that I'm going to clear it is you have to run through a certain drive cycle, and what you do is you start the truck, let it run for at least 30 seconds at idle, and then you must drive it more than 10 minutes. So it has to run a total of more than 10 minutes, and you must drive it above 25 miles an hour for more than 5 minutes uninterrupted. You cannot go down below 25 miles an hour, and then it must sit for 30 seconds again. And that is a drive cycle to where the OBD2 monitor can run and clear out the code itself, as long as the problem's fixed. The other way is, if you don't reset the codes, you have to do 3 drive cycles. So it's easier, clear the codes with your scan tool and then take it for a drive following those guidelines, and it should clear it out. It's running good now, but it never ran bad before, so I'm gonna take it for a drive. We'll see if the code cleared itself. Alright, I just went out for a drive, and I'm back from the drive, and got the scan tool hooked up. So let's see if it's fixed itself here. Alright, so that did it. There are no more permanent codes. Everything's fixed, working like it should. So hopefully this video helps you out. I will say that the Magnaflow system was pretty difficult to install. You do have to reuse all of the factory hardware from the factory system, including the clamp, the one band clamp, and the bolts that were used to secure the ball socket. But if you have any doubt, take it to an exhaust shop. It's probably worth the extra money to spend to have someone else put it on for you. But you can do it yourself if I can do it. See you next time. Thanks.